Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our early morning video from Linda Z's. I'm Linda, and I really am thrilled to be able to teach you and show you some techniques today on fitting and altering your personal mask. I think there's been so many wonderful videos out there on masks and have helped so many people. I have been getting question after question after question. Well, my face is a little smaller, it's a little bigger, or I have a longer nose, or I have a longer face, and what do I do? So I thought I would address some of those issues for you today and show you some of the things that I've personally done that have helped me, and hopefully you'll get some tips for you to be able to do some of this yourself. There are some interesting things going on with masks, so let's get started. Before I do that, however, I would like to be able to show you what I have in front of me, and this is the wonderful new Luminaire 2. I have a hoop on it, and I've hooped the what we call perfect stick. There is a perfect stick regular and a perfect stick cutaway, and I'm using the regular perfect stick because when I make all these masks, now these are for my family. I'm actually making these for my grandsons. And they're twins, and they, believe it or not, they do have different size faces, although it's interesting. There's just a couple of things I've had to alter. So when I do that, and they like black, you know, they're in school right now, thank heavens, and they're able to, but they do have to wear their masks. So they're, 4 or 5 masks in their backpacks, and then they pull them out, and they're twins, and one's pulling this one, and one's doing that one. So I have made little initials or a little name on the side, so it's not too obtrusive. And they then can tell which particular mask is theirs. Now I'm using the cone mask that is on our website, and it's free. You can go to our website, and there's a video there that you can click on, and it will show you exactly, the pattern's free. It's a PDF, you can print it off. And print it off the way it is, what you think you are, large, small, medium, or print all 3 of them. And then you're going to take a tape measure, because this is what I've done for them. I have actually measured across the fullest part of their nose, and I know I have a tape measure here somewhere that I wanted to show you, and that will give you, you start with your 0, of course, and you go across the fullest part, and go to the point on your face where you want that mask to stop. Now, I really think it's much better for you to have a fuller mask that'll cover more of your face. But some of these kids have got big faces, and they don't want them all the way over to their ears. They want them to here. So whatever that place is on you, take your tape measure, or whoever you're doing it in your family, and measure it across. Hold your finger, and then on the mask that you have cut out for them, write your notes. I tell you, this is just plain old printer paper, and it is just great because it really, it's easy, it's quick, and I guarantee if you're doing 3 or 4 people in your family, you're going to forget which size was what and how long it was going to be. So do that measurement. That will be the finished size of the length, the width of the mask. Then to do the length of the mask, you are going to start right above your nose. You don't want it down here. You don't want it way up here. You can't see. So right about in the middle of your nose, and then you're going to go right down, and I like to have it right under my chin. And take that measurement and write it on your mask. That is where you're going to start. And that will give you a really good idea. The masks that I have printed for you, and we've given to you free, have 1/4 inch seam allowances. There is a grain line. It depends on what you're using. We're using woven fabric in here, and this is the new hospital grade fabric that we were just able to get. We're thrilled to be able to have it come in. We got it in black and blue and in white. And when it is, I hope we have enough after I'm talking about this, because it's what the surgeons use for their gowns and for their masks. So you can use another fabric that I love to have you use is the batiks. I think they are just fabulous because they don't have a front or back. You can make it either way, so no matter how you put your fabric, it's going to work. You want to, of course, put your salvages together, fold it again, and you can cut like 8 layers at one time when you're doing a couple of masks, and you'll end up with something like this, which turned out pretty good. Now, this is a cone mask too. It's made out of the batik, and it is made for me. My mask is a little bit smaller, and what I've done with mine, I have one back here that I want to show you. I've taken the black fabric, this hospital fabric that we call it, and this has been washed, oh, at least 10 or 15 times. And on my first mask, it was a little bit smaller, and you can see, I don't know if you can get up close on this, or maybe if I put it down here, can you see it? There is a 1/4 of an inch that I added to the mask to give me a little bit more length. I really wanted that extra length than the first one that I did. And I added it right here, and I added a little bit down here. It's easy to take off, it's quick to make these masks, and there's nothing better than to get a better fit for you. Now, what I had to do, this little tab that is up here is the little tab for your nose piece. And if you look at the back, it's going to slide right in there. And I know it's a little hard to see on black. You might be able to see it a little bit better on this red. But you see how there's a nose piece in here at the top? And it's folded over to the bottom. And that nose piece is, I just slide it right in. I actually, with the kind we have these new little metal ones that they use in all the hospitals and areas, and it bends real easy. And so I just leave it in when I wash it and put it in. I literally do this in the machine and in the dryer, and I don't have any trouble at all. So that might help you a little bit to get an idea of where you're going with your initial mask design. I would think that most of you will do this 3 or 4 times when you make your first piece. I would really encourage you not to do, we have the other mask. I have 2 masks that I put out, and the original one did not have a nose piece in it. This one I put the nose piece in, and all I did is before I turned it inside out, I have 2 layers, they're together, the stitch around the edge, and I slid it up to the top, and I just did a top stitch. So you can see there's a top stitch there, there's a top stitch up on this one, and there's another one here. It's a little bit bent perpendicular here to the bottom of it. And when you're going to wear this pleated mask is really, really nice because it will give you some fullness and it isn't quite as hot. This too, I have found with the hospital mask is a lot easier to breathe in. And that's been a real tough time. Some of you, like some of us, if you're in retail or wherever you are, and if you're working all day, 8 hours, and you've got a mask on all day long, and in the kind of heat we've had, it can be very frustrating. So this is why I really want you to get the mask that really fits you the best, that's the most comfortable, and the fabric that really is working. It's safe, but it does give you the, gives you the protection, but you can breathe. And that's what this will do. It's easy to breathe, but it is safe. I guess liquids won't go in or out, which is really a cool thing. And you can actually throw this in the dryer, in the machine, and you can use bleach on it. Because if you use bleach on the the batiks, you're going to see what happens here. You are going to get a little bit of spotting and color changing. So let me get back to, we started about the measurement here. And I have 3 different kinds of masks here because I really wanted to show, 3 different sets of masks, because I wanted to show you when you do that first measurement, that's just getting the outside of your mask. The very, very important part is going to be what you do for your ears, or whether you're going to use twill tape, if you're going to use elastic, if you're going to use some of the Biani fabric that we have. We have finally gotten in colored elastic. I'm thrilled to be able to, we've had only the colors that we've used, but I personally, and I love this colored elastic, love the Biani elastic because of the fact that I can take it and I can just cut it in half. I keep all my little scraps because you really can use this. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a little something that is really cool. You can take a regular scissor, which I have here, or you could take a pinking shear, and you see right down the center is how we cut this. Now I'm going to cut that, and then say it was a real long piece. On mine, I know exactly what size my elastic is, so I will measure that, how long it's going to be, and then I have a piece for the left and the right side. Now you say to me, so how do you know what size elastic? That's probably the toughest one that anybody is going to have when you're fitting a mask. So when I go back to this tape measure, you're going to know with your own personal mask where that mask is going to come on your face. Do you want it way over here? Do you want it here? I hope you don't have it this close, but you should have it at least to the cheekbones of your face. Then you know, you can even take a little mark, have somebody put a little mark on your face that you can take off afterwards, and take your measuring tape again and go around your ear and get that measurement that's going to go exactly to the edge of where your mask is. Now, when I put that on here, when I did that on this side, for me, that was 6 inches. I know for a fact that 6 inches is too long, is too much elastic for me. I need 4 3/4 inch elastic. So that means I didn't measure exactly where that elastic is going to be. So I have to measure around it and start with the 0 on before your 1 inch tape mark and then go right to the edge. Then you will get to approximately, and it should be about a 1/2 inch longer, because remember, what did I say the seam allowances are on these masks? A 1/4 inch. You have a 1/4 inch on this side and you have a 1/4 inch over here. And what can happen quite often, and this is something I want you to really understand, people put their measurement into this mask, you know, there, and I'm going to show you, I have a piece that's put together there. And here's what I see happening. You see how that's sticking over the edge that much? Well, you've already taken off about a 1/2 inch. And then you've got another 1/4 inch that's going to go around the edge. So now you've taken 3/4 of an inch off of your elastic. So what's going to happen? It'll be too tight. And if you've measured correctly, or even more, what can happen is you measure like this. I don't know if you can see this. See the difference? You do not want to measure elastic where you're stretching it, because if you stretch it, it really is going to give you a real, you know, it stretches. You want it to stretch, but you don't want it so loose that it's going to hang off your face either. So this is why I'm saying that tape measure is really important when you're doing your elastic measurement. And you have to know what kind of stretch it is that you've got with your elastic. The elastic that I'm using, the 1/4 inch elastic, I only had black and white so that until these came in. And now I really do like it because I have got the right measurement. Before, if it was too small or too large, of course you wouldn't like it. Now, I want to explain this. This is a stretchier fabric, a stretchier elastic than this one. So that means if it's a little looser, if I'm, say, a 5 inch, I might want to go, normally I would do 5 inches of elastic. Now I might want to go to 4 3/4 on this particular one. I hope that some of this makes sense to you, the stretchiness of the elastic, the other one that I was showing you, the colors, of course, that we have. I really want you to have success and have a comfortable mask, because it looks like we're in this for the long run, and we probably will have these masks for quite a while. So let me show you a couple of quick things. And again, as you're doing your mask, I can't stress it enough to make these paper masks for your own self or whoever it is that you're doing it for, and make notes on your mask for what it is that you know works better. And I'm going to show you right away. I like to put, like I said, the little initials on. Now this is the new Luminaire, and I'm going to show you what I've done on this, because I can actually make changes after I've done the little initials. On this particular machine, I can bring it up, I can bring the design up to wherever I want to put it, and then I can take my mask and I can actually, if you can see on here, there is what we call a cone, and I'm going to make it a little bit, I don't know if you can see it real easy there, but it shows me where this initial is going to go on the mask. Now, in order to get that to embroider on there, you've seen this before on me when I've done this on my show. The cool thing about this is you can take your scissors and go, or you take your little seam ripper. It's good for lots of things besides seam ripping. And then you can take, and I scored it right in the center there, and I'm just going to pull that off, bring it around, do the same thing on the other, pull it off. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that mask before it is, after it's been cut out, and I'm actually going to put the initial right on the mask itself so that I don't have to use the other heavier stabilizers. Now, if we do that, let me put it back on here. I don't know if you can see this overhead real. You can see the little mask that masks that I have on there. I'm going to put it on this side. I think it'll look a little bit better on here. Now, I can move it up and down or wherever I want to put that. I just put this on. This is a real small initial. Normally, I would put water soluble on top of it too, but I'm just going to say go ahead and I'm going to say to go ahead and sew it. So we'll do that little initial on the end, and it'll give you a little bit of an idea of how the masks are different. So at least when this this is Max, and so when Max is pulling his mask out, he knows it's not Hugo, his brother, but it's his. And this is actually Hugo's. Like I said, he wanted to have his a little shorter. So I was in the process of doing one that was like this. This is a longer one. You see the difference between the two? And I actually took my Quilter Select rotary cutter and just laid it down, measured it carefully, and just cut off an inch on either side so he could have it a little bit narrower. Then what I did is I took the mask, and you can see what happens here. This one is Hugo's, and this one is Max's. So see how they're different in length? And I mean, they're the same length, but they're different in the width. So I really want to stress that you can go ahead and do what you want to do. The other thing that I'm doing with this initial, this is a very fine thread. It's a Microtex thread. And when you do, oh, I was going to make that smaller and I left it, but that's okay. It'll show you what it is. And you can see on this particular one, this is a real easy to tear away. I have another one that is made up here that shows you the little initials. Now, do you see how I can just tear that right out? I can tear this right off, and then I don't have any puckering or anything around it. Now, this is another piece of stabilizer that I've had in the hoop, and you can see I did 3 different initials just on this little hoop alone, just to be able to, you know, save and not have to keep rehooping. So now I've got my pattern all ready to go, and I'm going to put these two, I've cut it off. I'm going to put the 2 right sides together, and I'm going to sew them together like this. And you can see on this particular one, it looks like a little seam on either side, but you see how nicely this curves? You see how, I don't know if you can see this on here, but look at how nice that is. First of all, I press this with this Laura Star, which is one of the best things out there. And here's the best little tip of the day, I think. This is called the little Karen Buckley 4-inch scissor. And you see what I'm doing here? I'm going in and I'm making these little clips, and they're around the curve. And I'll tell you, that's the secret to getting these masks to lay straight. The other thing that I do, I press them very carefully when I'm through with them. Okay, so now I've got all those little clips out of there. And what's really nice is once I've done that, I'm going to turn it to the, well, first of all, I'm going to take it to the iron, and I'm going to actually press that with the, before I turn it the wrong side, to the right side. We're on the wrong side. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over, and you can see when I go to the inside, now I haven't pressed this one yet, but look at the difference. I see the ones that's been pressed and the one that isn't. Now I'll go to the iron and do the same thing here, but a secret of this, what happens when you're working with black or real dark colors and you press an iron, put an iron on top of the seam? Right. You get that big shiny mark. Well, do you notice there's nothing on here? And the reason we don't is because when I do this, I use what we call a plate. I guess we don't even have it out here right now, but it's a metal plate that goes over the iron, and that's why there's no white shiny marks of the seams. You can't even see the seams. So once you've got those 2 pieces sewn and turned out, you're going to piece them together like this. And before I do that, you can see the clips. I have the fabrics going one way and the other way. Now, I can now, at this point, before I even put them together, I can try this piece up to the face on the person that I'm doing it or myself and see, oh, do I really like this? Should it be a little bit shorter? Should it be a little bit longer? What can I do with it? And then you're going to redraw your mask and put it on there again. So before I do that, however, I leave a pocket for the filter. Even the kids sometimes don't want to put the filters in, but I feel I might as well leave the pocket. Maybe they'll change their mind and use them. On this side, I actually have the elastic pinned in. And this is what I want to show you that will help you, I think, more than anything else for adjusting and altering your mask. You see what I've done here? Can you see that? You see the elastic? I do use 2 pins to do the elastic. And you see how that piece is nice and flat? And I have got it measured exactly up to the edge. Now, when I sew this, because that elastic on the one side, the elastic is going to be sewn into the seam, I make sure that I start where the opening is and go all the way around the mask. And when I come to this seam, I take that pin out and I go back and forth and back and forth. And the same way here, back and forth. This whole piece is closed up. Now, if you decide you've made that mask for that particular person and you take it out and turn it inside out and know that it's, in fact, I have one that's in that stage where I could do that for you. And you find at that point that it's still, you haven't put the elastic in for the last piece, like here. This piece, I'll take the elastic off so you can see it. This piece here is all sewn together, and the last thing to do is to turn this inside out through that little pocket. And once you've got that on, you've already got the elastic on the one side. You want to try that on, and you want to take your little turner tool, the piece that I have here. This I wouldn't be without. That's that Floriani, I call it the poker. And it goes right into the corners without poking through the holes. Now, do you see what I did on here? I've got the little tiny Hugo, and that's what I meant to do on that Max, although I used a light enough, it's not a real bright color, so it won't show up too well. But look at here now. I'm bringing this out. This is going to be a real important part for fitting. Now, I can take, say this was for me, I can take and put this on, and before I press it and everything, and I can put it on and put it over my ear to see, okay, it's too big. And then you can turn it back out again and take some of it off. If it's too small, you would have to take the seam out or do something that I've seen a lot of people do, is you're going to put the other piece of elastic on this side, and this pocket's going to be open. You could make this side a little bit shorter, and then you haven't lost your mask. But write it down, and then the next time you make that mask, it's what's going to happen. It will be the right size. You'll know exactly what to do with it. Now, there's a last step that's really important when you're doing these masks, and that's your stitching. Again, I don't know if you can see this. I was going to show it on, we have a little Pfaff 630 that's really a nice little machine, and maybe I'll show you because I do have one ready to go with it. And you can see how I did the stitching all the way around, except for this pocket. I keep that open for your filter, all the way around nicely here. But there's something else you could do right now. If you're trying this on that person, you could actually make a tiny little tuck if you need to. And I'll show you what I do on mine. I make the tuck right here. I have that little tuck on either side, even on the side that's open, on the pocket, on the inside and the outside, the back and the front, because that holds real nice and tight to my face. It's underneath here. It goes over the bridge of my nose because this is the eye or the nose piece that's in there that you can bend very easily. And that will really help you to get, there's little tucks you can do here. There's a tuck you can do here. And again, what are we going to do? We're going to write it on our mask.